Here we are.
Hello.
Hello. So I'm just the Scooby. Naturally, the theme song has been playing in my head this entire day since
Is it the
basically
Simple
I watched
Plan
it last
version?
night. No. Wait, what does that mean?
The band Simple Plan.
Oh, I mean, no, probably not. It's the original theme song.
That's valid.
Whoever sings that, except in the last like half hour, basically when you told me that you were going to be a little late to this.
Yeah.
It changed in my head. It started because I was sitting here just twiddling my thumbs, doing mostly nothing outside of polishing the sheet up. I was singing in my head, "Come on, Juicy Juice, where are you? We got a podcast to record now." Just like on a loop inside my head for the last like 20-30 minutes.
That's great. That's awesome.
So yeah. Basically, what I'm saying, the short version of that is, you've been on my mind lately.
Christian, in front of the podcast listeners.
I needed to get it off my chest.
Well, as you told me 5 minutes before we pressed record, you did the thing you would regret less, and now you did the thing and you have no regrets.
It's true. And now you're gonna read the thing.
Oh fuck, I'm prepared.
And hopefully have no regrets.
Oh, I don't know about that one. Gather round, everyone, because this week we've got a mystery to solve. Don't worry, it's nothing crazy. I just need to find out who's been stealing all the plot from my movies. I mean, seriously, I just can't seem to find a buddy cop style movie that features a group instead of two people, has just the right chemistry. Is this sentence fucked up or is my brain fucked up?
It's kind of a long sentence, but I believe in you.
Well, let's just throw this back. I mean, seriously, I just can't seem to find a buddy cop style movie that features a group instead of two people, has just the right chemistry between all the talent, crazy magic elements, and a healthy dose of comedy gold mixed in. Oh, and no fan service. All right, just a little fan service. Wait, you say that you have one for me? And it's based on a beloved cartoon from my childhood? And it's live action. Oh man, it's live action. These have never gone well. All right, fine. I'll hear you out from the summary, I guess, but I'm not making any promises. Scooby-Doo 2002 is a mystery adventure comedy based on the cherished animated cartoon. The story of the movie follows Mystery Inc., a group made up of 4 people and a talking dog, as they break up their ghost hunting team to follow their own life paths. 2 years later, they are reunited on Spooky Island, a resort getaway with a scary aesthetic, to solve one last mystery together. Despite getting on each other's nerves at first, they manage to rekindle some of the old mystery-solving spirit and tackle the challenge ahead as more and more fantastical things happen around them. Clue by clue, they wander the island until actual monsters begin popping up, and the crew is faced with the reality that this job is the biggest and most challenging one yet. But have no fear, Mystery Inc. is ready to buckle down and kick some monster ass. They fight, eat, and big brain their way right down to the bottom of this mystery and gain some friendship points along the way. And Shaggy didn't even have to use 2% of his power to do it.
Hell yeah.
Man, I really need to work on reading comprehension. This is hard.
Well, the more summaries you read, the better you'll get at it.
You're right.
Maybe.
And I tell myself that every week or so. And then I just never mentally prepare.
Gonna have to put I'm gonna give you one of those first grader books where you write sentences on the 3 lines and it's got the dashed one in the middle. And you're gonna learn not only reading comprehension, but also just how words are formed in the first place. Just really dig down to the roots.
Damn, bro, I'm not even at a 3rd grade reading level. That's fucked up.
I'm putting you on Magic Treehouse. Them books were the shit, by the way.
I need to go back to my PBS Kids days with the Reading Rainbow.
Hell yeah. What's that dude's name?
Was it Lamar Burton?
Yes, LeVar. I think it's a V. LeVar Burton.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Answer is not his sister. Wrong.
Daughter?
Yes, there we go. She's cool. I like her. Mika Burton.
So Scooby-Doo. We I think this one might not come as a surprise, but maybe it has. I have a track record of having not seen movies everyone has seen on this podcast, but I have definitely seen this one.
Okay. Oh, okay. I thought you were going to tell me you did, and I was about to scream.
I have seen this one on numerous occasions.
Yes.
I am a Scooby-Doo enjoyer.
Same.
The animated series. This movie, maybe a little less mwah, but the nostalgia glasses kick in for a lot of it, and I still find myself having a good enough time, although I will say it has been a good number of years since I last watched this movie. I would wager probably a decade since I last set my eyes on this film. And I gotta say, despite the time gap, I remembered basically everything about this movie, which is to say, which I guess isn't that hard necessarily, because the plot in this movie is pretty thin and fairly predictable, but that's fine. It's a kids movie. It's not meant to be complicated. So all of the elements of it are tailored to entertaining teenagers and younger. So, at the end of the day, is this actually a good movie? Kind of not really, but
okay.
I had fun. I still had a lot of fun.
So for me, as a standard operating procedure, apparently for these movies, my movie viewing experience is never seamless and honestly rarely enjoyable. Because my internet just sucks when I need it to suck the least. So just constant buffering on my end. But besides that, I think my nostalgia glasses broke because I really just saw through this movie. I was forcing the nostalgia for the opening scenes, and then by the time they get to the island, I think it was right when that punk rock dude approaches his friend who clearly has some shit going on, like something off with her. She just starts talking like not the average 2000s white girl would, or at least not the one I would imagine, and just chucks him across the island. I think that's the moment that ruined my nostalgia. I was like, oh, this movie's going to be so bad. As a kid, I loved it. As an adult, I'm like, oh no, this is going to be bad. I just don't know how bad. Also, I did forget a large amount of this plot because I remember growing up thinking I just liked the second movie way more, to the point where I guess I just forgot about the first one largely. I knew it happened, but all the details I maybe saved up. It was all about part two, because part two had more monsters and this and that and blah blah blah.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'll be honest with you. I think I'm in the opposite camp where I don't really remember much about the second movie.
Maybe we do a follow-up.
That's well, that one's not up to me. That's up to somebody else.
That is true.
But I'm more than willing to.
Willing.
It's got all the same people in it again. The entire cast is the same, so I am down. The unfortunate part of that is just that I guess I think they were rated about the same. Neither of these movies are rated very highly by critics or the general public alike. Believe it or not,
really surprised.
I think I'd probably get the same amount of enjoyment out of the second one as I did this first one, but yeah, I would have to rewatch it to really get to that point. And also just Matthew Lillard, bro.
Is that the name of the guy known as?
He's Shaggy.
That's Shaggy.
Shaggy D.
Shaggy. I forgot Mr. Bean was in this movie, and I feel so bad that I don't know his actual name. It is very weird. Seeing Mr. Bean just be a normal actor when my entire life he was just Mr. Bean.
Rowan Atkinson is who you're looking for.
That's his name. Wow, that is
his name.
That's such a cool name for a guy who plays a mostly kind of lame character for majority of his career. But anyway,
damn.
Listen, I never saw any Mr. Bean movies, but all those commercials I saw did not make any of those movies look interesting to me as a kid. I was like, who is this weird old man?
Not the old too.
He's not old, but
just laying into the guy.
Just an actual adult. I'm like, what's the appeal of this? What do kids want from this? It's just a guy who I think is muted, or just mute, or just choosing not to talk, or whatever, and he just fumbles through life scenarios. I don't know. I genuinely I have no idea what goes on in those Mr. Bean movies.
We are the two worst people to be talking about Mr. Bean, because I have also not watched any Mr. Bean in my life. So sorry to anyone listening to this and gasping, falling out of their chair. You haven't watched Mr. Bean, bro? Yeah, never felt like it.
Not even
just
once.
Didn't look good.
Speaking of maybe not looking good, We could lead into it, but I gotta ask now because it's like the most pressing question in my mind. How do you feel about CGI in this movie for the year 2002?
I think it's all bad except for Scooby.
I completely agree. Scooby looks fantastic. I think probably on like a base level, but especially for a 2002 movie. Like I'm impressed by like how well he came out and rendered and stuff like that. And then I look at the monsters and I'm like, what happened?
They used all of the budget on Scooby-Doo.
They were like in crunch time. They're like, okay, cool. We finally finished rendering Scooby-Doo. Okay, now we have like 20 other monsters to render. Bro, just boot it halfway. We'll be fine. They're skin and bones anyway. Like, what extra detail do you really fucking need?
I felt like I was playing. It looked like playing a like cereal box CD-ROM game on my computer. That's what they looked like. They looked like monsters from a cutscene in a CD-ROM I'd get out of my Lucky Charms back in 2002. Just not good. And then they have the scene where Velma is pulling on the ears of the one and is stretching his face out and shit. And I'm like, this is just, they just took the ears and like dragged them across the screen in Blender or something and just like yoink, yoink, yoink. Awful. Not good. And also some of the shots make me think, I actually don't know this for a fact. I'm going to look it up right now. But some of the shots and the way stuff just flies in and off the screen makes it look like it was supposed to be in 3D also. And then somebody just decided maybe to not do it. But
that's valid.
I'm pretty confident that it never was in 3D in any way. So it's just like a weird, looks like somebody's idea was to make this movie go 3D and then they just didn't have the budget anymore.
I'd believe it.
So with that being said, you want to introduce us to the Mystery Inc. gang?
Like for the movie, or am I scrolling back to like the 60s and documenting the history of Scooby-Doo?
Well, I guess you can do either way if the whatever.
Oh, I can't do the first one. I wasn't prepared for that, but I just wanted to clarify the question for myself.
Oh, I mean, do whichever one your heart tells you should do.
Man, I wish I was better prepared. I would have loved to talk about the original cartoon. But anyway, this film, we have our main characters here of Shaggy, the resident stoner who's definitely not a stoner, but is totally a stoner. His best friend dog, Scooby-Doo, who talks and no one questions it. We have Freddy, who is the stereotypical leader of the gang because he's a guy, I guess. And also, like, this movie does something interesting to Fred where, like, he's not dumb. He's just really self-absorbed. And then you have Daphne, who's a damsel in distress, and the movie just tries so hard to give her a personality beyond that. And I respect the struggle, but I feel like, anyway. And then there's Velma, the brains of the operation, the super shy girl who struggles to stick up for herself until she finally fucking does it. And then it's great. So the movie opens up with, a 2 years in the past kind of scenario, or however our timeline sets up. But 2 years ago, more or less, they're solving a mystery. Scene opens up with Daphne being kidnapped by a ghost of some sort. And the rest of the gang is kind of set up in a factory where they're like, okay, this is our plan to capture the ghost and blah, blah, blah. The plan goes awry, but, mission fails successfully. They eventually capture the ghost, who's actually just a guy in a suit, a really cool high-tech suit. He just I don't know how he made the flamethrower part work, but he just basically wears a bodysuit that's filled with helium balloons. And I guess the helium is enough to carry his weight, which I don't know if that's how science works, but if it is, it's kind of cool. And so after this, so they capture the guy. I don't think they unmasked him yet, but they capture the ghost. And then a bunch of people just bust into the factory, a bunch of fans, because Mystery Inc. is popular or whatever. And then Pamela Anderson just comes into the scene. Thanks, Fred and the gang, for solving the mystery. And I'm like, okay, I know Pamela Anderson was like just super popular. I guess she was like the 2000s version of Marilyn Monroe, like just like the hot blonde woman in Hollywood that everyone loves and wants to put in all the movies and things like that. But I was so taken aback for this. I was like, bro, what are you doing here?
What are you doing? BoJack Horseman.
Yeah. So Pamela Anderson comes in. thanks the gang. I think a news reporter starts interviewing Fred. He takes credit for everything because he's self-absorbed. Unmask the guy, do the whole shebang. Everyone clears out. I think Velma confronts Fred about like her frustrations, like, hey, you like stole my idea again, took all the credit, blah, blah, blah. And then Fred's like being really dismissive. Shaggy tries to defuse the situation by like saying, hey, we're all friends here. You know, we're all key components to this group. We all have a role to play. And then somehow Velma took that like pretty heartfelt and like worthwhile advice and said, you know what, Shaggy, you really changed my perspective on things. I quit. And then Fred's like, well, no, because I quit. And then Daphne's like, wait, no, you can't quit. I was supposed to quit first in like 2 seconds. Now everyone thinks I'm a copycat. And the gang just goes their separate ways. Everyone but Velma has a really cool car, and that I felt a little sad about that. Velma is driving some like your great grandparents' station wagon. Fred's got like a Corvette convertible kind of thing. Daphne's just got like what's probably a really average like Toyota car, but it just looks cool. He's got like a cool paint job, has like some accessories on the car and whatnot. And then, you know, the mystery van is like the coolest car of our childhood as far as I'm concerned. It's like the most iconic.
Agreed.
So everyone goes their separate ways. Shaggy and Scooby are, you know, big sad because they're like, damn, just the two of us. And then we hit a 2-year time skip. Do you want to jump in here and say anything? Like,
yeah, I mean, I first of all, on the time skip section, this is one of the things that I did not remember. I did not remember that there was this large of a time skip in this movie. I was like, it was like a couple of months, right? Like I remember them breaking up and all that, and then they meet back later on the island. But it's like a couple months at most, and then 2 years later popped up, and I was like, what? Okay. I mean, it's not like that impactful to the movie. You get a few tidbits later on what everybody was doing in the meantime. You catch up with Shaggy and Scooby first because they're just chilling on the beach side somewhere, parked in the mystery van, and so that, you know, they've just been homeless the entire time basically. And we find out later. You gonna jump in?
I was gonna say they're not homeless exactly. They're just living out of a van.
Yeah, I mean, home is where the heart is, and their hearts are with each other. So,
I also need to interject about this. I understand that a large part of these two's personality trait, if you will, is that they are just dumpsters for food. You can give them anything and everything, they'll eat it, right? Just because they can eat large amounts of food, which so can I, and that's great. I indulge in that. I love that. Great personality trait. I love it. Support it. Just because they can eat everything doesn't mean they should just eat anything. Because what the fuck were these food combinations in this movie? They were sickening. Absolutely sickening. I think in the scene we're talking about, Shaggy's grilling eggplant burgers or whatever, puts chocolate syrup on it and who knows what else. And Scooby's just kind of inhaling whatever else is on the other half of the table. And I'm like, we couldn't just give them regular burgers or a veggie burger or just what? Just listen, I've definitely done some crazy combinations with food as a kid, maybe even as an adult that I won't admit to. But I have a line in the sand. These two do not. And I do not recall this being a personality trait in the original source material. We did not need to be this unhinged with their food options. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's kind of I think they doubled down even more in the movie than they typically do in the animated series, but it's part of their MO in the animated series also that they just fucking eat everything and anything. So
yeah, but you don't see me taking eggplant and cookies and throwing it on a submarine sandwich. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but also you're not a cartoon guy who can put the whole sandwich in his mouth at the same time as well and not really taste any of it.
Yeah, I have a small mouth. Not proud of it.
What do you mean you're not proud of it? You don't really get a say in the matter.
I mean, you know, you ever just been sad by your biology? Just like, damn, bro, I just got a small mouth.
I guess that's fair, but I don't think I've ever heard someone complain that their mouth is too small.
Listen, the dentists are very upset with me when they're like, hey, could you open wide? I'm like, I am. And this is as far as I go, man. You just gotta work with it.
All right. Well, fair enough, I guess. I would not have guessed that is an insecurity of yours, but the more you know.
The more we know.
Yeah, I mean, so like we start catching up with the mystery gang. as they each individually have received a invitation from a mysterious man whose name I cannot remember. It was,
and neither could Fred.
And neither could Fred. It's from Mr. Bean, whatever his name in the movie is.
Mr. Monopolis. That's what I'm going to call him.
I'm gonna look up the IMDb page in the meantime. But they all get this invitation, and they just happen to stumble on each other in the airport, and so they catch up. Fred has been writing book and doing hot guy shit. Mondavarius.
Mondavarius.
Hell of a name. Fred has been doing hot guy shit. Daphne's been doing hot girl shit, and Velma works for NASA. Velma has been doing hot nerd shit, and by working for NASA. So, you know, of any of them, Velma's life really took a turn for the better. They're all doing they're very successful, minus Shaggy and Scoob, because they're no lives. And so really, breaking up Mystery Incorporated ended up being like kind of the best thing for all of them.
Yeah.
But so we catch up, get all this. Then we were on this plane, this charter plane that goes specifically to this island. And let me just say, if every airplane was like this, I'd be flying everywhere. This plane had a whole fucking bar in it, and that's really all of my justification for what I just said. I would I know I can find bars anywhere on the ground, but if every airplane came with a full bar like that, brother,
these definitely exist because I've seen them before, like in videos.
Yes,
but
like they're private charter planes.
I've seen them as like allegedly commercial flights for when you just have like, you know, a large enough occupancy, but I'm also just like, but how do I access that? Like, what country do I need to fly to, and what airport do I need to fly out from, where they're like, okay, you have paid first class for a trip to wherever in the world. It's far enough where we have to like really accommodate you with amenities. So, you know, you get the bar, you get like somewhat decent food, maybe you get like a bed chair kind of thing if you're in first class. Like, I really just want to see one of these in person, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, I know they're real, but I need to see it. I need to experience it.
Same. And you don't even drink.
No. I just want to be on a really big plane that has like fancy. 2 floors.
You're trying to feel fancy. I get it.
Yeah. Which is really weird because I have a fear of heights, but I'll make do.
That's fine. Just don't look out the windows.
You ain't got to tell me twice.
You get the aisle seat, but then I get the aisle seat on the other side because I got big, long, gangly legs, and they don't fit well.
I volunteer for the emergency exit. In the case of emergency, yeah. Just give me leg room, please.
Absolutely. Oh, you want me to read this pamphlet and not really worry about it because the plane's gonna be fine? Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, they should be fine, but unless you're riding a Boeing these days.
Well, you know. Well. Anywho, we and like part of this is not only can Scooby-Doo talk, apparently he just looks like a person to normal people because everyone just accepts that this is grandma. Shaggy puts him in a very like Medea style grandma outfit.
Yeah.
And Scooby's just on this plane, and I mean, to be fair, maybe the normal people on this plane recognize him as a dog and just didn't care. But this blonde chick, Mary Jane, walks up, and who is very much just like stereotypical ditzy blonde chick, hot blonde chick. And so she just accepts that this is grandma without a word. And but I believe she believes that is an old woman with some kind of disorder that makes her hair grow out too long. And so she walks up. Scooby is immediately ousted, though, because not only does Shaggy just want to spend time alone with Mary Jane, she's also allergic to dogs. Weird that her allergies are getting set off next to grandma.
Yeah.
And so Scooby-Doo fucks off to where Fred and Velma, right?
Yeah.
He's sitting with Velma. To where Fred and Velma are, and also a cat. There's just also a cat in the other seat, and Scooby being a dog, we don't do well. We don't jive together. And so that set Scooby off. And long story short, we end up on Spooky Island.
Yep.
To your favorite scene, your favorite nostalgia crushing scene, where some college chick throws a dude across the island.
It was just so jarring. I was like, what? What is happening? What is this dialogue?
Yeah.
I really thought she like swapped the soul with a different person, which isn't like that far off, but not quite.
Oh, like she had the soul of like a buff dude inside of her instead.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You also want to talk about things that also don't look good. Is anytime somebody goes flying like this.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you can't see the strings, but I feel like if they were there, the impact wouldn't have made any difference. If I had seen the string and the harness attached to this person, I don't think I would have. My opinion would change on this movie because it's just so like blatantly obvious. Like some action movies and stuff make it look nice and they can edit it well. They don't even try in this movie. People get sent flying and they just fly off in a straight line, like they could just get dragged away in Photoshop. Or later in the movie, when we see a lot more of these possessed people, and they're like, there's the scene where Shaggy and Scooby are in the shed with Mary Jane, and they find the ATVs. Mm-hmm. Wait, was Mary Jane with them still?
I don't remember. They found her along the way.
They find her along the way. That's right. And so yeah, they find the ATVs, and the monster people are jumping up on the top of the shed.
Yeah.
Just looks terrible. Just awful. So they didn't do a lot of good stuff with the rigging either. Not even CG. This is normal standard movie shit. Mm-hmm. And they just like didn't give a fuck at all. Or real people interacting with the CGI later, the CG monsters. Like when the monsters are holding people.
Yeah.
Bruh. Like I think one of the most egregious ones is when the monster is holding Velma and breathes on her. Mm-hmm. And she looks like I feel like I can see the string attached to the harness to her and on her chest as she just gets like raptured into the sky.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever. I digress. What we meet up with? We meet up with Mr. Bean now.
Yes. And he's like, "Hello, Mr. Ink. I have a mystery for you to solve."
Mr. Ink.
I have a mystery for you all to solve.
Mr. and Mrs. Ink.
He points out that the people coming to the island are normal. The people leaving the island are messed up in some way. And they need to figure out what's going on. So they split up. I don't really remember where everyone goes, but I know Daphne goes and just finds a guy who lives on the island but isn't part of the resort. Just some random black guy who is allegedly doing voodoo in his hut or whatever. Because he knows something's going on, but maybe doesn't know everything. I don't know. I couldn't tell from the get-go. And he's just like, I guess trying to be genuine with Daphne and be like, hey, you should like just get out of here and like literally don't go to that castle. And she's just overthinking it, playing through like 4D chess by herself. And she's like, you want me to go to the castle? Well, wait, what if you knew I would say that and you don't want me to go to the castle? But what if you knew I knew you would say that? So I'm definitely going to the castle. And this guy's just like, lady, did you hear anything I just said?
He's like, just let me fucking slaughter this chicken already. Like, just let me ritually sacrifice the already this slaughtered chicken. Yeah, let me just kill this already killed chicken and get on with my life, lady.
So yeah, they do that. I don't know what the rest of the gang does, if anything at all, but basically everyone just kind of everyone ends up at the castle. Somehow. It's never clear what Freddy and then Shaggy and Scooby are doing, but Velma at least she went to some other like party. Right. There was like a fake ritual happening in the middle, and they, like a magic show basically. And then she pulls like the cardinal sin and points out all of the projectors and stuff they're using to make this ghost thing in the middle of the fire. And then she ends up at the castle off screen because she's just like, this is just like the logical place to be because she's the smart one. So it was very interesting.
And then Daphne almost dies.
Daphne does almost die. Bro, poor Daphne. I really wanted to root for the I don't want to be a damsel in distress anymore and maybe have a little bit more personality to me challenge or a plot, if you will, subplot for Daphne. And it wasn't really going to happen. She gets like one shining moment, but it's really just nah. Just nah.
She gets her kind of moment to shine at the end of the film when she's fighting the wrestler. And
bro, that scene's kick ass. All right, I love that. I don't know why there's a random masked luchador in this movie. Before the plot gets explained, I genuinely thought there was like these people on the island were like some type of like native tribe, and then the luchador is just like their muscle. I don't know what was going on, but I love him being in the movie. He's great. And then the scene with him and Daphne is also great. I don't care about the awful rigging or the awful choreography. It was amazing stunt work. I loved every moment of it. This one particular scene where he like lifts Daphne up into like a suplex, captures her in like a fireman's carry, and just kind of like stretches her out, and then she has her awakening of like, I am not a damsel in distress, and just kicks his ass. All that was great. I loved every moment of it.
Really feels like a wrestling.
They have like a random ring rope that's just like extra loose, so they just kind of like springboard off of things. The elbow drop from the top rope was great.
Daphne from the top fucking rope, dude.
She springboards over the rope, doesn't let go. Goomba stomps his dude through the ceiling, jumps back up, and does whatever it is she's doing up there. And I'm like, this is cinema. I love this.
This is peak. I didn't realize I signed up to watch Raw tonight.
Yeah.
I agree that was a shining example of a good part of this movie. But Daphne first has to survive these swords, to which she does by no merit of her own. She gets
all by happenstance. Fred gets knocked through a window, falls onto a control panel, manages to hit the off button with his ass on the way down, and saves Daphne.
Yeah, and then because Velma rather and Fred are stuck in this hallway with two giant axes, and they're pulling all the books off these shelves to find the hidden passageway book that always exists, and naturally it's the last one, but they don't get there in time, and Velma tosses Fred a book to block the giant fuck off axe swinging through the air. And for some reason, really because this is a kids movie, the axe is dull, and so instead of slicing right through the book and cleaving Fred in half, he just gets knocked back through this window instead. And behind this glass and in this control room has just been this mini person who has been running around and flipping all these switches and just trying to like make their lives hell and basically kill them. So I think, though, the weirdest part of this whole fucking castle is the sentient food, probably. Shaggy and Scooby naturally find this banquet hall filled with food, and they're already getting ready to eat it. And then all of the attractions come to life, and somehow the sausage links can have a mind of their own and tether them to the wall, and then there's giant somethings that just have alien mouths in them. But also the sausage links are suddenly plastic now. And also they're styrofoam or plastic, but Scooby-Doo's still willing to eat it, going back to just them putting whatever they want in their mouth and eating it. That's because Scooby's a dog and dogs eat anything. You know, that was different. Shaggy tries to justify it by going, "You drink water out of the toilet bowl," and Scooby looks at him incredulously and is like, "So do you, asshole." Wild accusation that turns out to be true, by the way. Absolutely wild. Yeah, just incredible. I would say, rolling it back just a little bit, that basically this entire movie, the best parts are almost always Shaggy and Scooby on your screen. I think most people can agree with that, unless they have some other specific scene like Luchador versus Daphne.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think across the board, you could pretty much just say the best parts of the movie are Shaggy and Scooby centered. So,
yeah, no, that's true. Mostly because I think the movie does mostly center on them. I feel like they get a lot of camera time,
as they should.
As they should.
They have the dynamic, all of the comedy, pretty much.
All the positivity. Everybody else is still kind of like,
Absolutely.
little meh.
Absolutely. So anyway, we eventually find this artifact. Daphne finds this artifact after not becoming a damsel in distress for the 4th time this movie, and Velma decides she's going to study it by taking it to the bar.
Wild. So I legit like jumped out of my seat. I'm like, what are we doing? What, like, who? I know it's such a stupid thing to get mad at in a kids movie, but I was really just like, really, we're gonna do this really important work at a tiki bar?
At the tiki bar, and
Insane.
not like her room or something.
Exactly.
I don't know. I just assume that they have rooms. You never see them because who cares? But
yeah.
And then so then she gets drunk because some dude comes up that she's met earlier in the film and is like really into nerd chicks. So
yeah, I don't know where he met her previously. I just saw him as a guy who like was flirting with her. She does get drunk, I guess, or it's like implied. I don't know what they were drinking.
She's definitely drunk.
Yeah, and that guy exists, and he's like her new romance angle for all of a collective of 5 minutes.
They meet up again at the end of the movie because for some reason, also the end of this movie, all of Mystery Inc. needs to have a partner.
Yeah, it was the most. I have never witnessed such forced romance angle in my life. Like this is truly shoehorned. Like no development. It was Velma meets a guy, and then next time you see him again, he's like picking her up, swinging her in the air like they've been long lost lovers. And then we just force a kiss between Daphne and Fred, which I'm like, I guess I would have been okay with because it's just kind of like standard practice. Like that's just like the formula. But there was no lead up into it.
No.
It was just like, we saved the island. This kiss. And I'm like, what?
We've had feelings for each other the whole time.
Like there was no flirting. We approached each other, looked longing into each other's eyes, and then just did it. And then I'm like, what?
Huh? Yeah. The only one mildly deserved is Shaggy with Mary Jane.
Yes.
But even then, I'm like, did I need this at the end of this movie?
I needed this at the end of the movie, personally.
Oh, okay.
They had like genuine interaction, hold on. How long was Mary Jane possessed? Was she possessed on the plane? I don't know.
It's not really clear. She could have been possessed since the beginning, but I'm gonna say no.
I'm gonna say no as I think about it. Look, because she was in the sun and all that, so probably not. And like they're the only people that have like actual interaction and like attempt at a budding romance. I won't call it a good storyline, but like they had actual chemistry.
Yeah, any semblance of chemistry is really what I'm getting, what I would bank it on here.
Also, whoever that actress is, I love her. She's so pretty.
Agreed. Her name is Isla Fisher. Isla Fisher?
Isla Fisher. I know Isla Dawn. Hold on, I gotta...
Isla Fisher.
Yeah, Isla... Oop, that's not how you search. Isla Fisher. God bless you, Miss Fisher. I also just remembered... I recognize her with red hair. As a blonde, that's a whole new person to me. With red hair, I recognize her in other films and whatnot. Good actress. Anyway.
I don't think I recognize her. I'm sure there's been something that I saw her in, but
yeah.
So then we got actual monsters, which we had kind of seen already because Scooby-Doo gets chased through the bamboo forest at one point after being lured in with the promise of hamburgers.
Yeah.
So we've met the monsters before, but now they're out in full force, really just trying to get everybody together. And so we have that whole scene where the monsters are fucking shit up, stealing people. They get Fred and Velma, and now it's up to the damsel in distress and the 2 idiots plus Mary Jane to finish this off and really fix everybody, or at least get their 2 friends back. And so originally Mary Jane calls the what do you call it? Help me out here.
The Coast Guard.
Yeah, Coast Guard. But the Coast Guard's in on it. They have a 15-second evil laugh, we're evil guys sequence.
You know what's funny about that was I couldn't tell if they're monsters in the skies or they're just like bad people.
I'm pretty sure they're just bad people.
I couldn't tell. I was like, are you possessed and are evil, or are you just bad people who work for the Coast Guard? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I think they've just been paid off. So nobody, it doesn't ever need to be addressed, but they're face shading and everything, like lighting from the bottom, face angled downwards, evil laugh, just and then there's nothing to say about it afterwards. The Coast Guard doesn't show up because they're bad people. And so the morning after, they're all like, well, what the fuck's going on? And then they find Fred, but he's been monsterified, and then they get chased to the ATVs that I mentioned before, where we have some kind of chase scene, and then we realize that Scooby gets a glimpse of Mary Jane being a monster because her face hits a branch, and
bro, that was genuinely scary. The blacked out eyes, the green pupils or whatever, and just like it was mostly the lack of teeth when her her getup is little smushed, her makeup's a little smudged, the lack of teeth really was just like, ugh.
Yeah, well, the monsters don't have teeth really. They have like a couple of loose ones.
Yeah.
I think, if I remember correctly. I didn't look too closely. The shit, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something else after this. Well, anyway. Yeah. Scooby. So Scooby catches a glimpse, and so this is kind of evidence now, because we've kind of been with Mary Jane for a while, that, well, clearly she got taken before everybody else did, and so like the question is like, when did that happen? Was it on the plane? I feel like it probably happened sometime in between plane scene and them meeting up again on the island is my guess, but there's never really nighttime, which is when the monsters come out to play, because they burn up in sunlight. Spoiler, we learn later.
Yeah.
It's kind of unclear where Mary Jane got snatched. But anyway, Shaggy doesn't believe, because he wants hot chick. So we move on from this, and really a lot of what kind of happens in the meantime is, I don't know, I guess like filler, more or less. Like there's not a lot, because we just quickly end up by the Pit of Souls, and we realize that like, oh, this, the monsters, maybe before you could pass off as some kind of robot thing, and somebody's controlling all these robot monsters, even though Velma pulls on the head of one and nothing budges. But now we just literally find a pit of everyone's souls, and you're like, oh, okay. This is like actual magic voodoo shit now. This is no longer just old man Jenkins with the helium suit. This is literal magic.
Yep.
So now we're in the big leagues.
Yeah. How do you feel about the, I guess, CGI for the souls?
That part's whatever. It's fine. The faces look kind of funny.
Yeah, like they didn't. It was weird. It was like, these look good, but also these look off in a way I can't describe. It was like almost a little distracting.
Yeah, and then there's the actors that are picking up souls. It's just their hand is pinching the air, and then the animators, the CG artists, just filled in the gaps and made it kind of look like the soul was being painted. It's whatever. The souls, honestly, despite the faces are a little uncanny at times, but I think the monsters are still worse, really.
Yeah. Definitely that. Those monsters, what happened, bro? We ran out of budget.
Yeah. So Pit of Souls, and now we start releasing some of our friends' souls. We get Fred, we get Daphne, because Daphne at one point gets breathed on, I think. No, sorry. Was it? No. What is that scene? Was it? No, it was Daphne, right?
Yes. But also, you just reminded me that one instance where Shaggy picks up a random soul and he just puts it back in the pile, and I'm like, my dude, couldn't you just send everyone back and then everything's Gucci because everyone's out in the sun theoretically?
Well, we're focused on getting our friends back first.
I was like, bro, I was unnecessarily disrespectful. We didn't have to do him like that.
Yeah, the last like 30 minutes of the movie could have been avoided if we just like tipped that thing over right there.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, Pit of Souls. Shaggy eventually gets all his friends back. They don't go back to the original body, except for Velma. Velma ends up in Velma.
Well, they do, but then like a thing happens later, right? Where they like start mixing up.
No, so it was so Velma ends up fine, but Fred goes to find his body, gets rejected by a door that for some reason he can't pass through. That's weird to me.
Right. Yeah.
And then somewhat off screen, he just goes to find Daphne's body, and then I guess Daphne just went to Fred's as a just to be somewhere. And then we get that whole I don't remember how we got into this room that Daphne and Velma are in, or whatever. But Fred just does typical fan service things of just like, hey, I'm a chick.
Yeah.
And I'm hot. And then all the weird things. I also don't remember when Velma got a wardrobe change where she had like a cleavage cut sweater thing, but it looked nice on her.
Agreed.
The whole just turtleneck that's really just a giant quilt stitched onto your body is not a it's not a look. It's not flattering to the human form.
I mean, she I think she makes it work, but
also okay, I don't remember what scene this happened in. Okay, I think it was in the beginning of the movie. I completely forgot about this still right now. Beginning of the movie, Velma ends up at some point, Velma just ends up suspended in the air by her ankle from like a chain or whatever. 1, her leg should be snapped. 2, how much starch did they put in her skirt to just like not fall upside down due to gravity? Like it didn't move. It was.
They just pinned it.
Insane.
She wore Spanx underneath or something, and they just pinned the skirt to it, I'm sure.
I don't know why that caught my attention. I was like, it doesn't move. It rejects gravity. It says no.
It defies.
Yes.
Anti-Newton skirt.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just had to bring that up. It's just a random thing.
It's fair. It's been on the brain. I get it. But yeah, I mean, so we the mystery gang, all back in their old bodies, we devise a plan to be able to try and trap the bad guys when they go for the souls. So they have this whole cave setup scene where they just randomly manage to find a bunch of rope and harnesses and stuff that they can like hang themselves from the ceiling and just be working casually here. They set up this disco ball thing and we get rocking. This ceremony starts happening now where excuse me, got hiccups. This ceremony starts happening, and they all kind of sneak in their own ways. And Scooby has since been taken as a sacrifice for it because he just has the perfect soul for whatever reason. And also, by the way, we skipped over this from a while ago, earlier in the movie. There was at one point when Velma is drunk talking to that dude, she's reminiscing on the old times of the Mystery Inc. crew.
Yeah,
and here everyone gets a little introduction of nostalgic glasses on Velma's part, and then just out of nowhere we introduce Scrappy Doo.
Yep, Scrappy Doo,
who's feisty little fucker.
I remember liking Scrappy Doo as a kid, like just across the board. And now as an adult, I wonder, were people genuinely annoyed by this character? I mean, like in other properties, not just this movie. In this movie, he was just a little piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing you see him do is take a piss on Daphne.
Yeah, and he was like, it was an accident. And Fred's like, you're marking your territory.
Another wild thing.
God, he was it was absolutely wild.
Yeah. So the reminiscing ends with kicking Scrappy to the curb. And so this is especially for anyone, for people with critical thinking skills. You go, oh, well, we're probably going to see Scrappy Doo at some point later in the movie. And lo and behold, as we continue to disrupt this ceremony, this ritual sacrifice of Scooby-Doo, it turns out Mr. Bean was a robot the whole fucking time.
Yeah, didn't see that one coming. Except I should have, but I forgot the plot of this movie.
Yeah, so then we open up the chest cavity of this robot, and it's actually, turns out it was a mech, and there he is, Scrappy Doo's right in the middle of it. And because apparently he's just big brain enough to be able to put all this together, and he found this ritual sacrificing pit and shit like that, and whatever it is, and he's gonna use all the souls, and he makes himself get super buff. And again, doesn't look good.
No, not at all.
Scrappy does not look good. They have an excruciatingly long scene of him transforming into Buffy Doo, and it just looks not good. But I digress. Like, if
One from a CGI standpoint, but also he just looks ugly.
Yes, definitely that too. Scrappy very quickly dealt with by Shaggy.
Nice.
Shaggy has the bright idea to remove the Millennium Puzzle from Scrappy's chest.
Yeah.
And release all the souls to everybody. And so now we can deal with this scrappy little puppy. And, you know, that's really the end of the movie moves a little quickly because somebody looked at a timer and went, oh, shit, we're like really running out of budget now. We have to end this movie.
Yep. That's where we get all the forced romance. We get the Coast Guard finally. Not sure why they're even here anymore. I guess just arrest people, whatever. We uncover actual Mr. Bean, who is like in a sewer drain or something.
Just in a hole.
Yeah, just in a hole. You know what actually makes you no, okay, this is dumb in hindsight, but in that moment, in that scene, I was like, wait, did the real Mr. Bean like contact Mystery Inc. or is it Scooby? I had completely forgotten about the whole Scrappy plot in that moment, and now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, no, I was so stupid. I don't know why I thought that. Scrappy Bean sent out all the invitations. But yeah, so you have a slightly heartwarming scene if you care enough of Fred getting interviewed again, mirroring the beginning of the movie where he takes all the credit, except this time because he's got character development. He's learning. He hands the mic over to Velma instead, and she gives the press statement, and all is right in the world. And then we get a credit scene of Shaggy and Scooby eating spicy food. Or really spicy peppers, I should say. Yeah, they just turned some masochists for some reason, and I don't know where that came from. Like they eat one pepper, or Shaggy's one pepper. He's like, oh, that was hot. Scooby just chucks a whole jar of them, explodes a little bit, and then the two of them just go, you want to do it again? And they just match each other jar for jar, and they're in agony. And I'm like, what's the point of this?
Don't know. Just it was like kind of funny. I'm sure 10-year-old me loved this watching it back. I mean, this movie was released when I was 6 years old, but again, watched it numerous times in my childhood. I'm sure I found this hilarious. Now I'm just like, all right.
Yeah. I wish younger me, I mean, I don't want it to ruin the fun for him, but like, man, kids are into dumb shit. Kids just like stupid things. I can't believe someone sold this movie to me as a child, and whatever adult had to accompany me to the movie theater. and unfortunately, I probably had to share the TV with my mom and grandma numerous times to rewatch this on cable or on DVD.
I definitely had a VHS for this.
All right, I forgot VHS was a thing. I miss those, honestly.
Although, you want to know a fun fact? In case you didn't already know this, about forced romance.
Oh.
The actor and actress who play Freddie and Daphne are actually married in real life. Wow. And still married.
Freddie Prinze Jr. married, insert actress name here.
Sarah Michelle Gellar. Or Gellar.
Sarah my brain can't say the two other names for some reason.
They have been married since 2002 when this movie was made.
That's nuts.
So yeah, I actually my assumption there is that they met on the set of the movie and fell in love, and the rest is history.
That's pretty cool.
And that's what I'm going with. But yeah, so there's a little bit of fun fact for you. I'll give you another one since we're here at the end of the movie and I haven't dropped this yet. I'll start with a shorter one. Apparently, in the beginning when they were making this movie, they were originally looking to get Jim Carrey to be Shaggy.
Oh God, I'm so glad we didn't go with that. That sounds awful.
Yeah. So great actor. Doesn't actually sound like a great pick for this. Matthew Lillard, I think, probably did a little bit of a better job of being this version of Shaggy here.
Yeah, absolutely. I could not imagine anyone else playing Shaggy in this instance, especially not Jim Carrey. That just, nah, bro. My brain violently rejects that idea. With all due respect to Mr. Carey, this ain't for him, bro.
Yeah. Last fun fact I'll give you here, a little bit more long-winded. So the preamble to the fun fact is that for anyone who's not in the know, this movie was written by one James Gunn, in fact, who is frequently known for such movies like, I don't know, Scooby-Doo, Guardians of the Galaxy.
What?
Yeah, Suicide Squad, the like remake version with Peacemaker.
Wow.
So he's got quite the what do you call it? This is him before he's like really known, I think. I have not gone back and looked specifically at his work before Scooby-Doo 2002, but I'm pretty sure it's not very extensive by this point. So, and I also don't think that this is what kicked him off, but maybe it did. Who knows? He, either way, right now, he's well known for his contributions to not just the MCU, but also the DCU with Suicide Squad, Peacemaker, and eventually a new Superman movie.
Wow. The guy just loves Warner Brother properties. Warner Brother just loves him. I don't know.
Something about it. So anyway, James Gunn, writer of Scooby-Doo 2002, originally wrote this film to be a more edgy experience geared towards older kids and adults and such.
Yep.
To the point that it actually, the earliest copies of the script got an R rating out of the whatever establishment gives out ratings, the MPAA. Got an R rating, although seemingly for more suggestive content, like implied sex jokes and stuff like that. So the studio. The story goes that the studio wanted to be more kid friendly, and so they had to switch up the script, and it became PG-13. But
this is PG-13.
This movie is PG-13.
It wasn't even PG. Holy wow!
Lost my train of thought.
Script being rated R. We're knocking it down.
And apparently, so they didn't want to do a whole lot of, or they just didn't do a whole lot of reshoots on some of these scenes. Ooh. So in order to comply with the rating, they CG'd a lot of the cleavage out of Velma and Daphne. So I guess there were supposed to be a lot more scenes of more cleavage, but they just, but instead of reshooting it and putting a better shirt on them, a less revealing shirt, they just said,
we'll fix it in post.
We'll fix it in post.
Oh, that's wild.
Oh, sorry. I'm mistaken. This movie is PG. I apologize.
I mean, I'd believe if you told me it was PG-13. I feel like, if this movie came out today, I feel like I could see where PG-13 would climb up. I think back in the day, Motion Picture Association people were a little more loose with what was allowed to be PG.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. This movie would definitely be PG-13 now.
Yeah, I could see where this would be a rated R film, like just given the setting. Like the setting just everything about the island just screamed like MTV Spring Break to me. Yeah. Also, I also did get like a feeling at some point where I was like, this isn't exactly like a strictly for kids movie. This felt like maybe they were targeting people who were just a little older and grew up with the series. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I guess now you say is like at the intention. They just have to like really reel it back. God, yeah. I wonder what that. I mean, it's probably really bad in more worse ways, but I do wonder what a rated R Scooby-Doo movie would have looked like.
Oh, I don't think it would have been much better.
You're probably
if
right.
A lot of their problems were raunchy jokes and more cleavage, then this would have been the same movie just with way more fan service. That's like fair. Literally it.
Speaking of, you just reminded me of. I think it was the flashback with Scrappy. I just remember Scrapping telling Fred he doesn't have the scrotes to do something.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? I definitely didn't pick up on that because I had no idea what a scrotum was at like 8 or not even. I was like 5 maybe. But like, wow.
Yep.
What a line.
Yeah, and Scrappy almost calls them sons of bitches at the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
Like all of this is just like screams, how did you get away with this with a PG rating?
Yeah, definitely that. Mostly the scrotes.
Mostly the scrotes.
But just cutting out son of a before anything else. That sounds PG for early 2000s era. Like that makes sense in my brain.
Right. But yeah. So that's Scooby-Doo 2002. Do you have any closing thoughts, opinions, fun facts of your own about the film?
I did not do research prior to this, unfortunately.
That's all right. There's a lot of fun stuff out there involving the movie. Obviously, there's the emergence of Ultra Instinct Shaggy that happened a number of years ago, and Matthew Lillard's version of Shaggy was at the forefront of this all, with the not even using 2% of my power and all of this. I myself have been compared to Shaggy for a long time in my life, just for being a tall, lanky white guy with a bowl cut hair, or shaggy-ish looking hair. Really not a lot of other parallels there other than tall, lanky white dude with brown hair.
Are you telling me you're not out here scarfing down eggplant burgers with chocolate syrup on top?
Believe it or not, I am telling you that. Yeah. Yeah, I am going to go on the record and make that statement. I actually now, in the last couple of years, more than ever, really look like Shaggy because my hair is longer. Now it's a little too long, but there was definitely a period in the middle, like 2020, 2021, where my hair was like just the optimal length to like really be compared to Shaggy outside of the facial hair, because I've always had the full beard and Shaggy really just rocks the goatee. But yeah, so my life has been hard is what I'm getting at here.
I don't know. I feel like it's not that bad. It's a pretty good compliment.
I know it's like, just constant. Well, that's the thing. Is like Shaggy's just so much to live up to. I didn't feel worthy most of the time. So I just, it was a burden. But anyway, speaking of burdens, I have the numbers here for how much this movie's budget was and how much monies it made. So, Justin, my question, as always, is how much money do they need to make this movie?
Okay, it's 2002. Lots of CGI. Freddie Prinze Jr. might be a big name by this time period. Not sure about Isla Fisher or the woman who plays Daphne. I already forgot her name. Samantha something.
I looked it up quickly, by the way. Apparently, they were a couple going into that movie already.
Wow.
So that they just got married by the end of 2002.
Nice.
And specifically, the actual director for this movie, who his name is Raja Gosnell. Gosnell. I don't know what else he's done, if anything, but he apparently was specifically looking for people who were already couples to play Freddie and Daphne.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Sidebar over. Give me the number.
This movie was probably expensive. What's expensive? I'm going to keep it... my initial answer, I'm going to say $12 million.
Oh, you poor son of a bitch.
Oh,
no. You...
Undershot it?
You are undershot by a long shot.
Oh, my brain was like 20 million sounds too expensive.
Oh, you're still so wrong. Justin, I'm going to blow your fucking mind.
Oh, no.
They made this movie with all of the terrible CGI and everything for $84 million.
No, bro. I was literally going to say this movie made $80 million in the box office. You're telling me that's the budget?
They made it for $84 million.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So they took all of that budget and came out the other side with that CG. So now,
oh my God,
Justin, I need you to tell me how much money this movie made.
Okay, well, surely this is a slam dunk in the box office. Like I couldn't imagine any other timeline. All right, so 160 would make it double the budget, which is earning it back. Wow, did this movie really make $200 million in the box office? I'm gonna lock it in. $200 million.
Okay, you're on the right track, and you did a lot better than your budget guess, but you are still wrong, and you still undershot it.
Bro,
this movie made $286 $75 million worldwide.
Is that triple? Is that like triple budget?
That is a little over triple the budget.
Oh my god. Oh wow.
This movie was a slam fucking dunk.
Insane.
Yeah. Lots of families bringing the kids to the movie and just going nuts.
Oh, Warner Brothers has never been prouder to have owned the Scooby-Doo property before that day. Oh my.
Yeah, for all its faults, for the kids watching it's slightly not surprising. I was initially taken aback like you, but then I thought about it and I was like, well, Scooby-Doo, beloved franchise. People are going to go out and see it. If you're a kid, it's fun. If you're a parent just there to, I mean, you're bringing your kids, so you're locked in anyway. It doesn't matter if you enjoy it in the first place. It's still fun if you turn your brain off and really just enjoy your kid having fun, I'm sure. So all said and done, it makes a little bit of sense, at least, that this movie ended up doing so well. And this is the first live action representation of Scooby-Doo as well. Like there are animated versions of Scooby-Doo that have happened to this point, like a lot of them. But this is the first attempt at like a live action thing, and maybe even the first theatrical release. I don't actually know if any of these animated movies came up in theaters first or not. I should have looked that up maybe. But so I'm just going to go off of the fact that this is the first theatrical Scooby-Doo. So
I'd believe that.
Yeah, and I think the numbers lead me to believe that as well. So yeah, crazy,
absolutely insane. Wow. No, I gotta appease my own interest here. That was 2002. Inflation calculator.
I'm sure it's not like that. I'm sure 20 years is not that crazy.
Said 200. Let me type my. Oh right, stupid calculator types in the oddest places. I have to know. Calculate. Error. Please use values less than 10 million. All right. Well, thanks, calculator.
Yeah, never mind. Fuck that.
Useless.
Worthless. Well,
absolutely worthless.
You know, it's not worthless. All the Letterboxd reviews that I read, because boy, when you have a movie like this that is like a cult hit kind of, where people just talk about it, and also you had it's meme worthy. People go to Letterboxd and they have a real fun time. So I had a hard time narrowing down all of my choices, because there were so many, but I managed it. I've got 6 reviews here for you to guess from.
Oh boy.
I'm going to start with probably the thirstiest one on my list. Not the thirstiest one I read, but the thirstiest one that I wrote down. Lowkey, I would let Shaggy raw me.
Wow, not the one I thought I would be hearing.
People are very hot for Matthew Lillard. I don't know if you know this, but I have spoken to a lot of women that just they have something about him, dude. And I think a lot of it also comes from his time in the Scream franchise as well. And I'm sure there's a lot of others. Matthew Lillard is the voice of Shaggy in a lot of Scooby-Doo properties, but this is the first time you see him. And again, in a lot of other movies, but for some reason, I don't really see it. But people got the hots for Matthew Lillard, dog.
I don't know what people you're hanging out with. Maybe I just don't talk to enough women. This is news to me.
How many stars is this thirsty ass review worth?
I'm giving it 4. Solid 4.
Wow. Starting off strong.
Let's
okay.
go.
4-star review in the back pocket. All right. So I'll move on to the review that has on Letterboxd the most likes. This person said, no offense, but this is the best movie ever made.
No shot.
People said this about Bring It On, and that I watched last week with Brendan, and I just so wrong. You want to talk about wrong?
Do you have the date for that one when they wrote that?
This review, 2016.
Yeah. Wild.
Yeah, in the year 2016, they thought this movie was the best ever.
There's no way they give this a 5. I'm giving it a 4 again.
Should have went with 5 stars, baby.
God
That was
damn,
it's the best movie ever made, Justin. How could they give it anything less than 5 stars?
Letterboxd reviewers are super weird and inconsistent.
Okay, well try this one on for size then. Scooby-Doo had a bigger impact on cinema than The Godfather. No, I will not elaborate.
Well, I mean, did The Godfather make $270 million in the box office?
It's a good question. Let's find out. I'm gonna guess probably, but
really?
Well,
I'm banking on no.
I'm gonna go yes, probably. But while I find that number, you should ruminate on how many stars that was worth.
Better than The Godfather? I'm so averse to putting 5s on any of these. I feel like yeah, fuck it, 5.
Your rationale deceived you this time. This was a 4-star review.
No!
You got baited. The number for The Godfather box office gross worldwide, $250 million.
Eat shit, Godfather.
Got beat out by 25 mil.
Eat shit.
Although I will say, and hopefully this isn't. Yeah, I'm not ruining this for anybody that may want to pick The Godfather in the future, but I'm going to give you the budget number for The Godfather. I will spoil it ahead of time and say that The Godfather, by the numbers, way more commercial success than
no way it had an $84 million budget.
Not even close. $6 million.
Wild.
Yeah. Just goes to show you really like how fucking expensive CG and all that bullshit is. 1972, The Godfather for $6 million.
72. Oh my god.
Yeah. So, different movie aside, different review time. Which one should I do? I'll do this one. We'll double down on referencing other parts of movie culture, and this reviewer says Scorsese might hate Marvel, but the fact he has never spoken on the Scooby-Doo films means he loves them.
Shit, you got a point.
Mm-hmm.
Going a solid 4.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Ooh.
No shot.
So close.
No shot.
4.5 stars.
All right, I can live with that.
4.5. I got 2 more. I'll read you this. I'll save you the... no, I'll do it this way. This may not be a great movie, but that's because Shaggy is only using 5% of his power. If he used all of his power, then this would be a movie so incomprehensibly powerful that the human mind would not be able to process it. Shaggy's omnipotence may create the best viewing experience in history, but we would simply combust trying to understand what we had witnessed. Shaggy is God.
I don't actually believe this, but I'm gonna lock in 5-star review.
Wrong.
Thank God.
In fact, this time, horribly wrong. Ignore 95% of this review and really focus on the first 6 words he says when he goes, "This may not be a great movie," because this reviewer gave it a 2-star review. They just wanted to make the Shaggy meme, and then they had fucked off.
They were here for the letterbox clout.
Exactly. All right. Last review, all or nothing. You've got 1 correct review under your belt. Started real strong and just fell off hard. Maybe bring it back.
Reviewers, man, that just they broke my ankles.
They're faking you out. Yeah,
absolutely.
They do that, especially that last one. The last one really hits. Anyway, God. If somebody asked me, gee, what was it like to be alive in the early 2000s? I would say nothing, and instead aggressively shove a VCR copy of this in their direction.
I'll give it a 3. That's a 3 in my mind.
Oh, you got too much bad review on the brain. That was your 5-star review, baby.
Get the fuck out of here. Absolutely, I refuse this.
5 stars, baby.
It's boo. Write a better review.
Write a better review. I think this is a perfectly fine review. You're
not for
bad.
5 stars. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm salty.
they're aggressively shoving the VCR copy in their direction. I think it's clear.
I
that
feel
this
like
is five
I
stars.
feel like it's less about the cinema and more about the listen. I'm going to teach you about the early 2000s. Sit down, young one.
Yeah, and he's offering up that Scooby Doo 2002 is the perfect way to do that. That sounds pretty 5-star behavior to me.
I could agree that Scooby Doo 2002 is a pretty decent capture of our cultural landscape in America.
That's pretty generous.
That time period.
Very generous of you to say.
But I would not say this is an indictment of the quality of film.
Well, in their opinion, it is, and for them, that's all that matters.
I guess so.
All right, one for 6 on the day. Not your best outing.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
You know what? I think I've had a worse performance than God. What was the LA Dodgers were playing someone the other day. LA Dodgers were down. The score was like 4-9. In a single inning, they jumped up to 11 runs.
Sometimes it's the way the cookie crumbles. But more surprisingly is the fact that you're making a baseball reference.
I follow ESPN and I like the highlights.
You're just really there to see if they end up putting any wrestling clips on, and then you just catch some baseball.
They do MMA. I don't see too many wrestling clips. Actually, no, it's not true. They've been getting to bed with wrestling stuff recently. But no, I just like cool sports shit. Someone, it's kind of like Dude Perfect, except just everyday people.
Right.
Mostly. Sometimes it's just, a kid doing something cool in the backyard. And sometimes it's the LA Dodgers absolutely embarrassing a team in a single inning.
Side note, because I heard this on a podcast recently. I'm sure you know this by this point. Because this is technically old news, just not for me. That Netflix has a license to stream WWE for like the next 10 years.
Oh yeah, I did remember hearing about this contract. I think it starts next year.
Yeah, beginning of next year.
I knew about the contract that was going to start next year. I do not remember or maybe know how long they have the rights to that.
Yeah,
man, it's going to be real weird having to log onto Netflix to watch any like mainstream content.
Well, I don't think it'll be the only place to be able to watch it. It'll probably be the most convenient because the most people know somebody that has a Netflix account. So
that's right.
Yeah, for a fuck ton of money, by the way, $5 billion.
Yeah.
Kind of nuts.
I don't know why Netflix wants this so bad. Like, I'm not like wrestling's cool. I like it. I don't know. This wrestling and Netflix don't exactly go hand to hand in my brain, but. I guess we'll find out in 2025.
The podcast I was listening to also, actually, you won't know the podcast, but you'll know the names. It's Bernie Burns and Ashley Jenkins of Rooster Teeth fame.
Mm-hmm.
They have their own morning show,
mm-hmm.
and they were talking about. I've just been going through the backlog. He mentioned
trying to relive Rooster Teeth days while it's still there.
I mean, well, this is a podcast they do right now. This is not like an old thing. This is a morning show that they do every single day during the week. They live in Scotland, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah, they fucked off for 6 years and went radio silent on social media for 6 years and raised their kids had 2 new kids and raised their kids in Scotland while nobody was looking.
Wild.
And now they have this podcast, and it's pretty fun. But anyway, the point here is that Bernie offered up some numbers for reference, and I believe I believe it was Marvel and Star Wars being acquired by Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those were bought, not even leased, licensed. Netflix is only licensing the WWE for 10 years. They have not bought the WWE for $5 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Disney bought the rights to all Marvel and all Star Wars for $4 billion each.
Wild.
So they own all the rights for $1 billion less than Netflix just licensing the WWE for 10 years. Netflix paid an exorbitant amount of money for this.
Wild.
I'm sure it'll pay off in 10 years. I'm sure they'll make that money. But yeah, I just thought that comparison was nuts.
It also makes me remember TKO, which is the parent company of UFC, and maybe they own some other promotions. I remember when they bought the WWE for a fuck ton of money. I don't know how much. A part of me is saying I wonder if they paid less than what Netflix paid for.
I imagine so, yeah.
Which is wild, but I guess we'll find out. Also, I'm pretty sure, I say this out loud, is the U.S. government still suing TKO for monopoly laws?
Oh, I have no idea. That's
This is
not
mostly a question to myself. I was like, okay, they bought WWE, and then I remember the U.S. government was like, hey, that smells like a monopoly. We're going to take you to court. And I don't know what ever became of that. I don't know if that ever got dropped or not.
Brief 10-second Google search says TKO paid $335 million to settle UFC fighter antitrust lawsuits. And this was March of this year.
Sounds like a different court case. But anyway, different time for a different podcast.
Yeah. Too bad I didn't know this a little tidbit of information for the Iron Claw podcast. Doesn't fit as well on the end of
that's fair.
On the end of Scooby Doo. But anyway,
let's close the door. It's not that bad.
Yeah, I mean it got brought up, but it's whatever. Thank you to the lovely Taco for recommending this movie to us this fine month, I should say. He offered up a choice, and then I didn't see it in time, and somebody else basically made the choice for it. Taco asked for a genre of movie, basically, and then somebody else in the Discord gave him the genre instead. I think specifically they said murder mystery, and he went full on the mystery part and said fuck murder. So we ended up with Scooby Doo. So thank you, Taco, for your recommendation of a movie that I've seen before and fairly well enjoyed. I this movie is bad in a lot of ways, but unlike Justin's, my nostalgia glasses stayed firmly on, and I still had a fairly fun time, even though at my core, I like that 2-star review I read earlier. I know this is not like a good film, but fuck it, who cares? Justin, you want to do the rest of the thing?
Sure. Thank you for listening to our podcast today. We appreciate y'all. If you wish to reach out to us, you can do so either via email at pandasightings@gmail.com or on Twitter and Instagram at pandasightings. We have a Patreon. You can financially support us. It goes back into the show. Helps us do cool things or pay for cool things, etc., etc. We have a Redbubble merch shop. It's mostly for our other podcast, One Piece of Lime. You already knew that because you're here, because how else would you be here without One Piece of Lime? Join our Discord. Love the community we have. There's just so many cool people in there. I said this on our other podcast. I guess I'll say it now. That's fresh in my mind. We're recording this toward the end of June, and June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. So I mentioned it on the other podcast. Suicide rates are higher for men, at least in the U.S. And many men statistically will experience some type of mental health situation in their life, and many of them do not report it or seek help or advice on it. So I'm here to encourage you to not do that, whether you're a man or anyone else out in the world. If you can, access resources, do so. If you need help finding them, we at least in the U.S. we have a cheat sheet somewhere in our Discord server under our wellness channel. Thanks to our lovely psych major and community member Rara. If you ever need to just talk to somebody, you can always reach out to me on Discord or in the DMs or whatever. And I'm also going on my own little journey. I've recently started taking antidepressants. I think they're working, which is pretty cool. My mind has been far less weighed down by just unpleasant thoughts and stuff like that. And also I've been getting help from friends with making just changes in life for the positive, just trying to get to know myself better, trying to find fulfilling things in life and all that jazz. So that's all to say. Take care of yourselves. Also, happy Pride Month. We love you, whoever you are, everyone out there. Love you as you are, as you come to us. So stay happy and safe out there. And that's my spiel for today.
Yeah, very nice. Won't be either of those months anymore by this time this releases, but it's a sentiment.
I wonder what July's awareness month is. Should look that up.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
July
but anyway,
awareness month.
Well, you can do it right now.
Okay. We got several awareness months in July, including Disability Pride Month, National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. Nice. French American Heritage Month, National Bison Month, and Plastic Free July. So we'll see you in July.
So it's July right now for the people listening. So happy all of those things, everybody.
Yeah.
But anyway,
happy close of the show.
we just kind of leave, I think. Yeah, we just don't forget to shut the light off, though. Power bill's been going pretty crazy these days with the hot weather.
Yeah, that is very true. Very, very true.
All right. See you next week for the next Patreon movie, everybody.
Bye now.